Okay, so imagine this: a single smartphone app that can perform over 30 instant health checks. That's the kind of innovation Healthy AI is bringing to the table.
And now they've added two major players to their board to help scale this globally. Let's dive into what this means.
Welcome to DeActa Daily Digest. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Juniper. Here are today's top stories.
Healthy AI is making waves in health tech with two high-profile board appointments. Meanwhile, tensions rise in the West Bank as the IDF responds to unlawful property takeovers. And finally, Israeli defense leaders are debating strategies on Gaza, buffer zones, and Iran. Let's start with Healthy AI.
This is such an interesting story. Healthy AI has brought on Patrick Gates and Sunita Parasuraman as non-executive directors. Their resumes are incredible. Gates has decades of experience in tech, including 14 years at Apple, and Parasuraman has a strong background in finance and governance, with stints at Meta and Genentech. What do you think this signals for Healthy?
It's a clear signal that Healthy is gearing up for serious global expansion. Gates' experience with scaling infrastructure at companies like Apple and Airbnb is exactly what they need to handle the technological side of growth. And Parasuraman's expertise in regulatory matters and governance is going to be critical as they navigate partnerships with governments and businesses.
It's fascinating how Healthy is positioning itself. They're not just offering a product, they're embedding themselves into the healthcare ecosystem. Their focus on accessibility, instant health checks, and even data ownership features feels like they're trying to redefine preventative healthcare.
Exactly. The idea of democratizing preventative health through a smartphone is revolutionary. Imagine being able to perform 30 different health checks instantly and at a low cost. That's not just innovation, it's a potential game changer for global health equity.
But scaling something like this isn't without its challenges. Even with Gates and Parasuraman on board, they'll have to navigate a complex web of regulations, especially when dealing with sensitive health data. And then there's the question of adoption. Even if the technology is sound, how do you get people to trust and use it?
That's a great point. Trust is everything in healthcare. But Healthy seems to be tackling that by partnering with governments and businesses. Those partnerships could lend them the credibility they need to gain widespread acceptance.
It's definitely a bold vision, and it'll be fascinating to see how it unfolds. Let's shift gears now to the second story, the situation in Qusra and Jalud in the West Bank. The IDF's condemnation of unlawful property takeovers is significant, but it also highlights just how complex and fraught this region remains.
It really does. The IDF's declaration of a closed military zone and their statement condemning these actions as illegal show they're taking this seriously. But the fact that Israeli civilians were caught trying to bypass a military checkpoint in an ambulance, that's a whole other level of complexity.
And the IDF's warning about reservists or active duty soldiers potentially being involved, that adds another layer to this. If members of the military are participating in these takeovers, it raises serious questions about discipline and oversight within the ranks.
It also underscores the challenges of enforcing the rule of law in such a volatile environment. The IDF's statement about coordinating with other security agencies suggests they're trying to tighten their approach, but it's a delicate balance. They need to maintain order while operating in a space where every action is scrutinized and politicized.
And let's not forget the human element here. For the Palestinian residents of these areas, this isn't just about property. It's about their homes, their lives. The psychological and emotional toll of these takeovers can't be understated.
No, it can't. And while the IDF's response is a step in the right direction, it's hard to see a long-term solution without addressing the broader political and social dynamics at play.
Which brings us to the third article, the broader security landscape in Israel, Gaza, Lebanon, and beyond. It's a complex web of strategies and debates, and the consensus around maintaining buffer zones is telling.
It is. The idea of long-term security zones reflects a deeply ingrained need for control and oversight, especially in areas like Gaza, where the situation remains precarious. But even within that consensus, there's significant debate about how to balance security needs with political and diplomatic pressures.
Exactly. The article highlights this divide over how quickly to hand Gaza over to the Palestinian Authority and how much territory to retain. The fact that some officials are willing to accept narrower buffers in certain areas like Rafah, but insist on deeper presence in others like Shajaya, shows how nuanced their calculations are.
Nuanced, but also indicative of the challenges they face. The varying geography and strategic importance of different areas mean there's no one-size-fits-all solution. And then there's the question of trust. Can the PA or the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza truly take on these responsibilities? Many officials seem skeptical.
And that skepticism extends to Lebanon as well. The lack of confidence in the Lebanese army's ability to counter Hezbollah is a major sticking point. Even with recent diplomatic outreach, there's a pervasive sense that the Lebanese government's influence over armed groups is limited.
That's a recurring theme, isn't it? Whether it's Gaza, Lebanon, or even Syria, there's this tension between the need for security and the desire for a more stable, long-term political solution. The idea of a war between wars strategy, limited, recurring strikes to prevent adversaries from gaining ground, fits into that, but it's not without its critics.
Right. Some argue that scaling back these operations during diplomatic efforts could weaken Israel's position, while others worry about losing international support if the strikes continue. It's a delicate balancing act.
And then there's Iran. The article paints a picture of a defense establishment that's both cautious and divided. The June 2025 operation may have bought Israel some time, but the events of 2026 have clearly complicated the strategic landscape.
Especially with the reestablishment of ties between Tehran and Hezbollah. The debate over a potential Iran deal is particularly telling. Some officials are adamant about halting uranium enrichment entirely, while others are more pragmatic, focusing on limiting breakout potential and ensuring tougher inspections.
It's a classic case of idealism versus realism. The compromise proposals, allowing either a negligible quantity of enriched uranium with restricted centrifuges or vice versa, show that there's room for negotiation, but the stakes are incredibly high.
And let's not forget the ballistic missile issue. It's alarming that this hasn't received more attention, especially given how critical it is to Israel's security. The 2025 and 2026 operations may have delayed Iran's plans, but the clock is always ticking.
It is. And that's the thread running through all three articles, isn't it? Whether it's Healthy AI's efforts to scale preventative healthcare, the IDF's response to property takeovers, or Israel's broader security strategy, it all comes down to navigating complex, high-stakes challenges in a rapidly changing world.
Exactly. And it's a reminder that progress, whether in technology, governance, or security, is rarely straightforward. It's messy, it's complicated, but it's also necessary.
Well said. I think that's a good note to end on. There's so much more to explore in each of these stories, but for now, we'll leave it there.
Agreed. Until next time.